How long do I have to walk in this fucking desert? Oh, you know, just for a few more hours, I'm sure, but I will keep you company, boy. Or I will try to enlighten your ignorant little mind. Ignorant? Did you just call me ignorant? Yes, but of course. You have often, despite being better than my son in some aspects, have proven to be stubborn with others. I am sure. What do you think, Steve?
Shut the fuck up, kid, before I throw this into the desert sand.
See, even the skeleton is thinking that you're ignorant. So how do you wish to enlighten me? Oh, I have no idea. How about a look into my excellent past? You're joking, right, when you say the word excellent? What do you mean joking? My past is excellent. I've done many great things. Sure? I guess? Maybe? Now then, why don't you check your bag for that book? Which book? The book you were reading earlier, before we left for Hazland. What? You were there for that? Yes, I was. I'm always there. I'm in your soul, boy. Oh, right. Okay. Why is this page full? Oh. Why is the page that I ripped out about Viking back again? Wait, which page? Let me see that. Oh, yeah, yes, Nanja. Oh, I remember this one. Such a treat. Did I ever tell you what happened to her at the very end? I don't think I want to know. If it does end with some read. What? I have to be the one to read it? Yes, you're the one with actual arms in this situation. Why not Steve? I'm not fucking holding the book. Fine. Alright, so if I'm reading this aloud, I get to choose how I'm reading it. What do you mean? Oh, you're not going to do voices, are you? Oh, I hate when you do those voices. Oh, what's wrong with me doing the voices? Oh, come now, boy. Are you really wasting the power I gave you for the form of dread to sound like an idiot? Yes, is that bad? Yes. You can only use that for a short amount of time per day, at least 4 minutes by my calculations. Well, it's a good thing I have this mask of disguise self. You really use an enchanted magical item to disguise yourself, to sound like a bumbling idiot. Yes, I do. Now then, page 1. My vision took me through the main gates, which were not open. I just seemed to pass through them. Above, carved into the lintel in the same letters used at the border mark, was the name Illaluk. I had barely read them when the force drawing me forward pushed into a renewed burst of speed, carrying me through the streets too quickly for me to perceive any details other than a rush of shadowy blurs. I didn't care much for this and tried to slow things, but with little effect. Very well, I was to be allowed selected glimpses, nothing more. I would accept it for now, but promised myself a reckoning later for this liberty. A pause. Now was I treated to the sight of a formidable pile of stones, a castle much larger and more elaborate than my own. In this I sensed an emerging theme. All things here were grander than anything I had. Bigger, better, more powerful. It smacked of a very familiar insecurity. Strahd's calling you Where were we? Passing within the castle walls, things blurred again until I was stopped before 2 huge doors that parted open in a stately manner. Then my vision was teased forward at a walking pace. A long, wide approach through a marble-lined room flanked by carved marble columns took to a gigantic throne. and without surprise, I looked upon Azalin. Standing before it was an unmistakable air of proprietorship in his pose. Congratulations, dear boy. You somehow managed to pronounce common without a mistake. I don't make mistakes. Oh, is that so? Is that why you repeat the same word 6 times in your head without my correction? Right. Anyway, from the look on his face, he was very aware of my presence. I had already assumed he'd been the one to draw me here, showing me things which he wanted me to know about along the way. My view of him and the room dropped unexpectedly, until I realized he was forcing me, in a way, to bow low before him. Oh, you do love it when they're on their knees. Hey! Ow! My head! I suppose it was too much to expect that he would be past such pettiness. He caused me to remain in that position, possibly thinking, even hoping I would struggle against him. Oh, you do enjoy it when they struggle, don't you, father? Oh, God! Oh! If you ever make another reference how it arouses me to make others struggle, I will make sure that your mother's death is on constant replay for the remaining part of your existence. Are we clear? Sure. Why not? Continue reading. As the time was right for it, I increased my force of will, allowing me to hear what was going on. Taking it for granted that Azalin would be able to pick up on my thoughts as though I were speaking aloud. Magic on this high of a ranking made nearly everything possible. Are you quite done feeding your conceit, or am I supposed to remain staring at the carpet all night? I asked, sounding quite thoroughly bored.
Why do you not fight me?
Thetmathof, I have to ask, why have you chosen to portray me as sounding like a character out of a childhood play?
I'm sorry, do you not sound like a character out of a childhood play?
No. No! No!
Well, too bad. I'm the one reading, so deal with it.
He was almost purring. Quite a feat with that harsh voice of his. It is not worth the effort. He released his restriction on me, and my view expanded to include him again. I would have really preferred the carpet. It was much less overdressed. You know, Strahd does have an excellent point about the carpet, father. It is a little too gaudy. Are you really lecturing me now, of all times, in all places, on decoration? Are you being serious, or has the desert heat finally gotten to you, boy? Oh no, I'm deadly serious. Back to the book, or else.
I felt your presence last night, but only faintly, he said. This time you were much more focused, more easy to control.
Control? Is that what he thought? I had best pay close attention to see if his deeds were an actual reflection of his wishes, or mere air. I only wanted to find where you'd withdrawn after your latest failure, I said. He snapped.
I opened the door between this plane and Earth, breached the barrier of the mists with impressive results.
He gestured wide at the palace surrounding him. Yet we are here, prisoners still. I would call that an unequivocal failure. Again, with the unnecessary detail, Thetmathof. Why? Oh, you know, I have to announce to Steve and the desert of your failure. You don't really have to fucking do that, kid. Just keep fucking telling the story. It's already annoying as it is to hear your fucking voice.
I achieved the breach once, and I shall do so again, for as you have seen, here I have improved my position considerably.
He seemed most anxious to get a reaction about his new home, which meant he was still impressed with it. For all I knew, the whole thing could have been an illusion such as he had rapped about himself. Gilded bars and a cage do not change the fact that it's still a cage, I informed him. We are both trapped here yet, and it looks to remain that way indefinitely, unless, by some other blunder, you accidentally manage to stumble upon a genuine escape. It was really all too easy to bait him.
See, he gets it. He gets it. He gets it. Strahd gets it.
He was fairly incoherent for some moments, spitting out this curse or that, listing my innumerable faults against his innumerable injuries, and generally giving vent to all sorts of pent-up resentments. Of course, he could hardly cover nearly 40 years of it without finally choking on his own venom, at which point I interrupted again. I do have a question to ask. Are you trapped within this land as I am with my own? He met this with silence, his red gaze burning at me. Answer enough.
You don't think you at all, Von Zarovich.
Since he had already been reduced to simplistic petty jibes, I knew my deduction was correct. There is one other thing. Since you are so pleased with your achievement in enlarging our prison, perhaps you can tell me how much you recall our sojourn to Mordant. Or should I say how little? Again, he made no reply. I see. Memory a bit vague then?
How much do you recall?
He said haughtily. More than you, apparently.
The incident is unimportant.
I let him hear a brief laugh from me. He did not react outwardly, but I could almost see the spinning of his mind as he wondered how much more I might know than he. When it came to statecraft, the art of bluffing is not to be overlooked or underestimated.
I have more important matters to concern me, such as the rule of Darkon,
he stated loftily. He pointed to his chest with a gloved hand.
I am absolute lord here.
Congratulations. It must be very gratifying.
All of Darkon acknowledges my lordship without question.
Are you complaining about the population's lack of intelligence? You will get no sympathy from me.
Fool! This is my land! Mine! This means the agreement you tricked me into when I first came is no longer in effect. Our pact is dissolved. I hereby issue to formal challenge.
To what? I knew this was coming, but had to make him say it.
To war!
That should be amusing. How do you plan to lead an army across a boundary you yourself cannot pass? Or will we just settle for standing within sight of each other and hurl abuse while doing a bit of fist shaking? It might provide for an evening's entertainment, but
I shall send my armies to crush Barovia like an overripe fruit. I will repay you in full for my forced servitude.
Forced?
The 1,000 humiliations I suffered from you, the leash you nearly strangled me with, all those years, all those insults will be accounted for.
Your time would be better served trying to complete your experiments. Sooner or later, you will have to get lucky.
Oh, I will experiment. On you, Von Zarovich!
If you kill me, Barovia will cease to exist.
You flatter yourself.
Yet you have believed that, else you'd have tried to kill me before.
There are more lands here now than Barovia, so I care not what happens to your pitiful little patch of mud.
Those other lands, including yours, are all attached to Barovia. It is at the center of all. If it ceases to be, It will have what? What are you doing? I am taking over this bumbling lunacy that you keep purporting. I am no fool like yourself, Thetmathof. I am learned and I speak with an elegant tongue, unlike you. If you are going to do it right, and I know full well that you have the capability of doing so, you will do it right. And until I can see that you know how to do it right, I will hold your hand like the child you are and drag you through it. It will have no effect upon them. You don't know that. But we both know, as each of these lands appeared, they formed themselves to match Borovia's topography, where they touched, not the other way around. They are likened upon a stone. Take the stone away. Spare me the logic, von Zarovich. Your argument is an insult to my intelligence. You have no evidence upon which to base it. It is more substantial than anything you could ever offer in refute. You cannot prove a negative. Try testing this one, and you may continue on just long enough to regret it, I said. If you kill me, you destroy everything, including your precious Darkon. I had no idea if this was true. Extrapolating my link with Barovia to include the other lands that had come to this plane, but there was no harm in making the attempt. You will ultimately destroy yourself. His laughter, something I had rarely ever heard, scrabbled through my mind like bones rolling over a stone floor. But I won't really kill you, von Zarovich. You are going to be my slave, as I was yours. If Azalin thought himself a slave while in Barovia, then he had wildly overlooked the true meaning of the word. I could point out to him that he had ever been my guest, and mention the time and trouble to which I had gone to see that he received all he wanted for his comfort and work, but I knew he wouldn't listen. Once he had decided on something, he persisted with it, no matter how erroneous his judgment. But then his arrogance was boundless. When it came to his faults, his pride was quite my favorite. It made him so easy to manipulate. The prospect of being his slave did trouble me, though as there was the chance he could achieve such a goal, and I doubted that I would enjoy the same privileged life he had been granted in Barovia. There was one weak point to his threat, however. I shouldn't be interested in seeing how you could possibly manage to bring me across the border, I murmured. He snorted. There may be no need to bother. If it proves immediately impractical, I should be more than content to watch your sufferings from afar. Not for very long, I am sure. It will eventually grate at you that you cannot personally see to whatever inconvenience you wish to heap upon me. Then perhaps you'll realize you still very much need me for the advanced spell work you must do to truly escape. Pah! I shall train others for such menial tasks. You wouldn't be able to trust them. Once they reach so high a degree of training, they wouldn't be too much of a threat to you. I can command loyalty if need be. You aren't the only one who can inspire it. Sycophants always make the worst assistants. They will obey me or die. Oh, I'm sure that threat will do much to calm them to the point of being able to work without making mistakes. Can you not see how you need someone like me? Someone who's not afraid of you? Liar! Even you fear me! Now who was flattering himself? I said lightly, but allowed venom into my voice as I continued. Do not mistake disgust for fear. Fear on Zalhonen. I say again. You still need me to carry out the spell work. You are unable to learn. Lich! That struck a nerve. A terrible, almighty sensitive one, just as I had intended. His face worked, and his gloved hands formed into fists. And had I actually been in the room with him, he would have probably leapt upon me, then and there. Though it was imagination only, I thought I felt the force of his loathing for me roll out from his palpable waves. He straightened to a regal pose and spread his arms wide. His figure shimmered and the illusion he maintained ceased to exist. I saw him in reality for the first time in many decades, and the passage of time had done nothing to improve his looks. Quite the contrary. "Then look upon my true form, Von Zorovich," he thundered, his voice smashing into my brain like a hammer. I couldn't help shuddering from the physical discomfort and hoped that nothing of my reaction was reaching him, lest he take it as a show of weakness. "Look upon me and despair!" I waited until the paroxysm passed so that my inner voice would be strong again, then put another note of boredom into it. Except for the gaudy robes, which I also suspect to be an illusion, you're still no more than a dressed-up version of one of your own zombies. Slightly more cognizant, of course, I'll give you that much. But hardly worth inspiring me to despair. The last thing I heard was his ear-splitting shriek of fury.
What? How? Cade! Wait a second, why do I care?
At long last, I've been waiting to finally take control of my vestige after such a long time. It feels good to feel the heat upon my skin once more. Now then, time to clarify some rules. Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye, boy! We are no longer in Strahd von Zorovich's protected lands. You are in my world once more. There will be no more debates, no more funny little voices, no more conspiracies against myself or the core. Are we clear? I said, are we clear? Good. Now then, get up. We must return to Furon as soon as possible to tell him about the priests of Osiris, and I do not wish to tarry too long. I said get up, I did not say dilly-dally. Up! That's right. Look at me with all that hatred in your eye. Let that fuel you on your way home.
You don't need to be so rough on the kid.
What was that? Did I hear the unasked-for opinion of a gravelight? A being who has no idea who they even are or why they travel with this boy? I will tell you one small thing, corpse. You may make demands or ask questions when you even have the slightest identifying thing about you. Until then, march forward with the water! Oh, and by the way, Thetmathof, if you ever mention this to anyone, especially Furon, I'll make sure Morgana is bleeding and screaming by the end of the night. I know you've confessed that you wouldn't care if she died, that the mission comes above all else. But I'm in your very soul, boy, and I know it will hurt. So, are we clear? Crystal. Good. It is going to be a long journey, boy, and I better not hear any more talk.